last week, Chinese company DeepSeek shocked the world when they walked right over OpenAI's moat by releasing the open source R1 model. Not only does it beat their $200 O1 reasoning model, but it also beats Claude Sonnet and Gemini. It wins on key benchmarks, but more importantly, it passes my vibe test, along with many others on the internet, as long as you don't ask it what happened on April 15th, 1989. R1 even wins at math, which is crazy considering OpenAI had the answers in advance. Over the last few days, normies have been learning about R1, and it went viral to become the #1 app in America. This is a big problem for big tech, because in order for the grift to keep on grifting,
this is so funny. I cannot begin to explain the soft power capabilities of creating a competitive commodity. We are creating a generation of loyal servants of the People's Republic of China. And normally conservatives would say this is a negative. I don't care necessarily, as long as it makes people less antagonistic to foreign nations that the American government wants you to hate and consider adversaries. But it is like, it's crazy. It's crazy to think that like the Western world is so desperate for any kind of technological innovation. Like they're just excited. They don't give a shit, and people shouldn't. It makes sense. Why should you care who makes the product? This coincidentally is why Chinese EVs aren't sold in the US. Yeah. When is the US government going to ban DeepSeek because it's actually a Chinese propaganda app and they're going to force it to be sold to Elon Musk? The fact that this is open source is exactly why this is going to be disruptive. Exploring this technology could be a benefit to humanity. As a security professional, the fact that it's open source makes me hopeful it will overturn monopolies in the space. I think that's why they released it as open source for a multitude of different reasons. I suspect like part of it is because they wanted to disrupt, the Western monopolies that were going to be implemented in this sphere. Because these guys, what do capitals always do? Enclosures. Okay, what do they always do? Enclosures. Whether it be enclosures upon the land, and the process of land lordship, I guess, lordship over the land, or whether it be digital enclosures, because enclosures are how you generate profits. The enclosures, the fences that you create around things, whether it's a tangible thing that you can see and consume and touch, or whether it be something like data and intellectual property, which is another form of safeguarding and gatekeeping, and another form of enclosure. It's always done at the behest of profit, okay? You are creating artificial scarcity in an effort to be the gatekeepers, in an effort to say, we are the only people that have this. And when you generate a product, which I love open source, as you guys know, something that I talk about quite frequently. I don't use Linux because it's too complicated, but OBS, I use OBS. It is so important. If OBS didn't exist, there would be so much less live streaming in general. Maybe some of you will say, oh, it's great. It should be great. But it's open source. It's open source software. It's incredibly important. And all these other companies literally use it. I guess I do use Linux because I have a Steam Deck and I love my Steam Deck. But my point is, especially in the Twitch sphere, we use a lot of open source software. Like collaboration through open source is how you make better art, how you make better products, how you make better things in general. I love it. I think it's amazing. You know who hates it though? These fucking douchebags on screen. They hate that shit. They ironically donate to OBS, okay? Because they use it, because they later down the line will add additional things on top of OBS and then basically create their own version of the same product with extra services placed on top of it, where they actually end up, charging you money for it. But they rely on open source for innovation. Okay, so especially for AI's infancy, I think open source is really important because this entire model relies on unlimited amounts of data. So the more data you put into it, the better you can train it, right? As long as you have proper safeguards, I guess, on like what kind of data and proper safeguards on the interpretation of the data. That's it. There is not a market on earth not ran by open source. Important doesn't scratch the surface. Yeah, it's not important. It's vital. It's a necessity. So I think it's good for the future of AI in general, but it's also good because this being an open source product is good for the future of AI in general because it offers additional training capabilities. It's good also because this is very, very disruptive to the tech monopolist. It ruins Trump's entire agenda around tech. Like literally overnight, they were able to just say, yeah, nope. Oh, you're going to donate, you're going to do $500 billion. You're going to give $500 billion to these charlatans? Here, we did it for way less. There you go. And now everyone can have it for free.
Artificial intelligence needs to be hard and take thousands of GPUs to pull off, but DeepSeek R1 cost less than $10 million and was actually the side project of a hedge fund where their only goal is to create long-term social value. Wall Street is terrified, and Nvidia stock is in for a bloodbath today. Nvidia has been the primary beneficiary of the AI boom, but the whole bubble just got one-shotted by a brutal reality check. In today's video, we'll find out how DeepSeek just changed the course of history. It is January 27th, 2025, and you're watching The Code Report. Big tech is literally shaking right now, as Sam Altman coped with a dramatic tweet. A revolution can neither be made nor stopped. The only thing that can be done is for one of several of its children to give it direction by dint of victories. I'm not sure if that's Napoleon Dynamite or Napoleon Bonaparte, but the funny thing is he damn near got ratioed by someone with an anime profile picture that said, "It's not that deep, bro, just release a better model." In addition, to try to remain competitive with DeepSeek, OpenAI is also offering its O1 mini model to free users. But that's not all. They also released a new thing called Operator, which gives AI access to a browser and allows it to click on buttons and fill out forms on your behalf, which is a game changer because that means you can have ChatGPT go attend your court-appointed DUI courses or anything else you might have to do online. In the future, humans will no longer need websites or UIs, only APIs that can interact with the AIs. Operator is currently only available to people on the $200 plan, and overall it gets pretty mixed reviews. That's cool and all, but the Chinese are really crushing it right now. DeepSeek is one thing, but they also released this thing called Hunyuan 3D, which can generate 3D meshes and textures, and that's huge for people like me who have spent years failing to get good at Blender. But the crazy thing about DeepSeek is that it was just a side project that cost very little money to produce. Even Mark Andreessen called it one of the most amazing and impressive breakthroughs he's ever seen, a profound gift to the world. And because of that, the stock market is panicking and just wiped out nearly $1 trillion in value, with Nvidia being the biggest loser, followed by other chip companies like Taiwan Semiconductor and Broadcom. You see, Nvidia's had basically a monopoly on AI training for the last decade because they have better Linux drivers than AMD, and all the machine learning algorithms are optimized for libraries like CUDA, which is
This video is from Fireship. They make banger videos. Highly recommend it.
proprietary and can only run on Nvidia GPUs. And they have the infrastructure to connect all these GPUs together at scale. As AI models get bigger and more popular, so do the profits of Nvidia. But someone got DeepSeek running on a few Apple M2 Ultras, and that's the 680 billion parameter top of the line model. And that's terrifying if you're a tech investor pouring billions of dollars into AI, because if the best state-of-the-art model can operate on relatively cheap consumer hardware, and it's free and open source and developed in China, how are we going to make any mother effing money? People are calling this the Sputnik moment, when Russia launched.
Yeah, here's the thing. That's what this should be your primary takeaway, chat. This, if nothing else, this should be your primary takeaway from this story, which is that a massive technological leap in terms of efficiency for an existing product in the West is considered devastating. Why is it considered devastating? Because it's one, produced in a cheaper fashion and also released for free. Like, this is an inherent contradiction under capitalism, and recognizing this should be a radicalizing moment for a lot of people. Imagine like the invention of the wheel, okay? And then immediately people going, oh, we got to monetize this, okay? And then there's a newer version of it and people go, oh no, like this is devastating. This is really going to cook our patent on the OG version of the stone wheel, you know? It's messed up. This is really going to stifle. This new innovative product is really going to stifle our market dominance. Like, what are you talking about, man? The fuck do you mean? For the average person just goes, hey, man, put the new generative AI model in the bag, bro, and they move on. For the average person, they're like, oh, that's a new, cooler product. I love that. Sorry, not as vested in your profits, you know? Seemingly, I'm not so interested in how many billions of dollars in profit you were going to generate out of this digital enclosure you're going to place upon this. I'm going to do the free thing that is competitive, you know? Put the fucking semiconductors in the bag. Put the new generative AI model in the bag. Hey, how about you learn to code, Sam Altman? Get a job. Get a job, Sam.
First artificial satellite into space in 1957. The United States was shocked at the time, and it took over a decade to make a comeback, when America made its pinnacle achievement of filming a man on the moon in Nevada. That's a joke.
Anyway, all jokes aside, I do still maintain the same position. I still maintain the position that like AI in general, at least at this stage, is just like a mechanism of labor displacement. And that a competent government should create safeguards against that sort of thing to ensure that the new wave of technological efficiency, okay, that will create productivity for the existing labor force, companies should not use this as an opportunity to displace its labor force. Of course, we do not live in a competent government, okay? We do not live under the rulership of a competent government. For reference, my 4070 Ti 16 gig VRAM barely pulls 200 watts when using DeepSeek R1, and it only utilizes 10 gigs of VRAM. There's literally no point on buying the new RTX 5090 unless gaming. RTX 5070 549 will come with 12 gigs of VRAM.
Of course, and even the smartest technology in the world, DeepSeek, believes in the moon landings. We had a good run on this AI hype train, but now it's time to move on. I'm looking forward to brain chips, quantum computers, artificial meat printers, nano robots, digital resurrection, and all kinds of other tech that will make the world a better place. This has been the Code Report. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.